This is a movie.
Keep repeating. It's only a movie. Only a movie. Only a movie.
I love movies. Gosh, I love movies.
Listen to the Matt and Mark Movie Show.
Let me tell you how committed I was to have you for this episode. I was like, if Tommy says yes, we're on, we'll do Imaginary. If he says no or he's busy, there's no fucking episode this week. That's how committed. I'm not even kidding. That's how committed I was to being like, this is a Tommy episode. I want to have him on for this.
Well, I appreciate that. And I know, that's my jam, my genre. But of course, it's been a slow release year for horror so far.
Yeah,
and,
super slow.
We've had some stinkers. And I think even just in general, a lot of the new movies this year have been pretty underwhelming. I mean, I think you're probably in the same boat. Beekeeper is still my favorite of 2024 so far.
Dude, Beekeeper is tough to beat.
Yeah,
tough to beat.
I did like Dune Part 2. I've kind of come to the epiphany that like you just really have to be in the right mood for those fucking movies, because there's so like, there's like 3 names for Jesus in that. It's like the Kwisatz Haderach, and then the fucking oh God, what's the other one? The Abu Ghraib.
Abu Ghraib.
And then the Lisan, whatever. Like there's so many, and it's basically Jesus or Neo is what you're saying, like the one, and it just gets so like overwhelming sometimes if you're not in the mood for it. But I went into Part 2 definitely in the mood for it and was like, I enjoyed it. But I still like Beekeeper more. I mean, it's just more of a fun movie.
I realized when I sat down for Imaginary, and actually that's just a great point to start this show, by the way. We're reviewing Imaginary this week, and joining me is friend of the show, good friend of the show that we haven't heard from since Snowbound Cinema, our buddy, you know him, Tommy Nuggetz.
Hello. Thank you for having me, bro. And I miss Mark. I love Mark, but I'm glad to be here with you, man. I'm glad to be talking shop again and back in the seat here.
I love that too. And talking the best kind of shop, talking horror shop, which is always good. Yes, I was saying, I sat down to watch Imaginary, the new Blumhouse movie, which is what Tommy and I will be reviewing this week. And let me go ahead and hit this so that there's no spoilers. So there's no bitchery. We are going to be spoiling the movie just straight away. So as I was saying, I sat down to see Imaginary, and it occurred to me, dude, it was the first time I had been in the theater since the first week of January.
Okay.
That's how long. The first week of January.
That's a minute for you.
Dude, I usually go every Friday to my local.
Yeah.
And I think the first week of January, I saw Ferrari, like on New Year's Day, and then I saw The Iron Claw, and I loved both the movies. And then it was like this dead zone, because I saw Beekeeper at home.
Okay.
I skipped Night Swim, which, funny enough, was another Blumhouse movie that I think kicked off the year.
I heard bad things.
Yeah,
about
yeah.
Night
Also,
Swim.
I heard really bad shit about Night Swim, so I was like, you know what? Let me put a hold on that. And I've just been watching stuff that's new to me, but that's old. That's kind of like my niche lately. Like, we've been obviously doing nothing but retro reviews this new year so far, but like, I have had more joy in kind of discovering niche genre shit, 70s, 80s, 90s, early aughts, shit that I just like missed for whatever reason, or had like a film blind spot on. Like I've been having so much more fun. Like I had way more fun this year, and I'm with Tommy. The Beekeeper is still the best movie it's the best 2024 movie I've seen so far this year.
It's the
Spoiler
most
alert,
fun,
even including tonight's movie.
Yeah. I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Beekeeper was awesome.
It was so fucking good, but it was just crazy. Like, I've had more fun. Like, I watched The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, the 70s version.
The Walter Matthau one?
Walter Matthau and fucking Frank Costanza. It was like the grumpy old men from my era were like hardcore, like hard ass New Yorker cops in the 70s.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. I had never seen it before, and I had a blast just like discovering that for the first time. And I was like, I almost had a moment where I was like, who needs the cinema?
Yeah. No, I mean,
Who needs
really,
it? I've got a cinema here, right?
well, and I was just going to say, as a physical media collector, that's one of the bonuses. I'm sure you probably buy a lot of things that you shelf that, you don't watch right away. You don't rip the plastic. And a few months later, and they're probably some blind buys, at least as far as you haven't seen them, but, you've heard good things.
Oh, yeah.
Or you're following someone's catalog or whatever. And so it's fun to like go back and rediscover those things. Like, oh yeah, I bought this a month ago from Kino Lorber. And dude, that's what I did in February. I did a lot of I'm always watching old nostalgic shit anyway, man. I'm that guy. I watch things over and over again. So, St. Patty's is coming up. I have a short list of movies that I watch every year around St. Patty's.
Yeah.
For during the whole month of February, I watch a lot of black cinema and a lot of the stuff, that I grew up on, like Juice and Menace to Society and, Belly, stuff like that. But I try to get some new things in there. So like I watched Trouble Man a couple of weeks ago when it was still
oh shit, okay,
February, and dude, and I had not seen it, but it was something I bought on Kino like over a month ago, and I just was like, fuck, why not? And it was awesome. It's probably the best blaxploitation movie I've ever seen. Trouble Man, dude. It's late 70s. Marvin Gaye did like the whole soundtrack. It's so good.
This sounds fucking amazing.
Yes, I thought of including it with Rex later, but I have so many other Rex, and I didn't want to. I didn't want to have too many.
That's why I love having Tommy on too, because like you come ready for the Rex. By the way, this is a good segue point. Thank you for setting me up for that, Tommy. Tommy will be hanging out with me for Get Wrecked this week, and if you want to hear Get Wrecked, the way to do that is to become a patron. For as little as $1, you can help support this show, help us keep the fucking lights on, and get access to a full video podcast. That's where Get Wrecked lives now. I tabulated. We now have like over 50 hours of video shit that's just Rex over there. So if you want to see some really fun, great sort of like after hours conversations about some crazy movies, maybe you've been looking to watch something new, that's your source for that. For $1, you get access to a vault of shit. And we thank all of our patrons. The link is in the show notes, patreon.com/the Matt and Mark Movie Show. By the way, we have a voicemail. It's 707-948-6707. You can call in, and we may include your message on the show. And as far as socials go, Instagram, TikTok, all that, we're at the Matt and Mark Movie Show. We're also on YouTube. So if you're over there, let me do this cringy bullshit. Like and subscribe, and leave a comment on the video. You got to do it.
You have to. And as a patron, I will say I'm a friend of the show and a recurring guest, but I'm also a patron over on Patreon. And you guys got a lot of good shit, man. And Rex are honestly, like, I love your new movie reviews and your retro reviews, but Rex are that's my favorite part of the show.
Oh yeah. You're not alone. You're not alone on that.
And I love as a guest preparing them. And then if I'm listening to an episode, it's like a good bead into your guys, like how you're feeling at the moment, how you're rolling. And it's, I don't know, a lot of times you guys, like I tend to do, are seasonal with some stuff, or you like to celebrate certain anniversaries, or, so your Recs are, that's the cream on top of the sundae right there. That's the funny shit for me, man. So
you reminded me of that Macho Man Randy's "the cream rises to the top."
The cream always rises to the top, brother.
You heard it here straight from Tommy Nuggetz himself. The Patreon, it's the cream that rises to the top.
Yes, sir.
I've got some good recs. You'll hear those, by the way, in our Patreon, so do go ahead over there. This week, though, Tom and I are talking a new horror movie. It debuted at number 3. Now, that doesn't sound good, but consider what it's up against. It's up against the second weekend of Dune 2, which is a juggernaut, and it's up against Kung Fu Panda 4. Imaginary, directed by Jeff Wadlow. The budget was only $10 million, and they recouped all of that in one weekend because it was number 3, $10 million. But this is going to bridge me into a story here. So, again, I hadn't been to the actual cinema in 2 months. I roll up on Friday to my local to go see Imaginary, and I'm like, oh shit, right, Kung Fu Panda 4 is out. So the fucking lobby is loaded with children, like children.
Yeah.
Okay, I go into my screening of Imaginary. The fucking front row is all children. And I was like, wait a minute. Did I have a senior moment like fucking Grandpa Abe Sebson and walk into the fucking wrong room? I walk back out. I look at the scoreboard above the door. It says Imaginary. I was like, oh, it is not I who fucked up, but the people inside. I walk in. I'm like, well, maybe they don't know, right? But I'm not going to be one of those.
Because it is PG-13.
It's
right?
PG-13, right? I was like, I'm not going to be one of those busybody people who's like, excuse me, ma'am, did you know that this is...
Let me see your child's ID.
Yeah, I was like, let me just sit down and do my thing. And I was like, the whole time while the trailers are running, I'm like, do they know? Do they not know? Well, it became very clear to me right away when a little kid was like, hey, Mom, I think this movie's PG-13. I don't know if I should be here. And the mom's like, you're fine. I was like, oh, they know.
She's
so,
like,
okay,
we're doing
cool.
one for mommy today. Fuck
yeah,
that
basically.
Kung Fu
She's like,
Panda
they
shit.
ain't no fucking Kung Fu Panda 4 today for you, kid. There's Imaginary. There's Chauncey Bear today.
Yeah. She was Jack blacked out at the time.
That's right.
She had enough.
That's right.
It's funny to me how kids movies always do so well. Like and I can't say that this is the case with Kung Fu Panda 4, but even if it's the shittiest piece of garbage sequel ever, you know, fucking Minions 9 will do like Oppenheimer numbers its first weekend. And it just shows that, you know, parents, a lot of times it's like, we got to take this kid to do something.
Yes.
Let's just take them to whatever movie's playing. It doesn't really matter.
Get the kid out of the house, away from us.
Which I get. I would do the same. I'm sure if I was, if I had a child under my care, I would be like, you're going to the fucking movies today.
Yeah, congratulations. You're going to see Kung Fu Panda 4 or
Twice.
Dune 2 or whatever's playing first.
Yeah. We had a few like teen kids in our theater, but I didn't see any like real little kids. Of course, I always have, and I've shared many of these experiences with you here on this show. I tend to have bad experiences with the young ones in the theater because they're always so loud and like obnoxious. But the kids in our theater for Imaginary weren't too bad, and I'm not like some old codger. I'm no Abe Simpson myself to where I get mad that if people are reacting to a movie, it's when people are like farting loud and like making jokes about it. And, and doing that 8 times in a row, then
farting a TikTok. It's just something like that. Yeah.
Or when these fucking people have their phones on, and it's always kids. I'm saying people, but it's kids. They have their phone on, and it's like level 99 brightness, and it's like a spotlight in your peripheral, and it's like, dude, this room's dark for a reason. Like, I'm gonna hit that phone out of your hand if you don't shut it off.
Get the fuck out of here. Also, too, I feel like this is a complaint I've been on the show, but I'm gonna reiterate it. If you have an Apple Watch or a Fitbit or something, you have to be aware that also emits light. Like,
and they're bright as fuck.
Like, turn them off. It's the first thing I do. I have an Apple Watch because I'm an old man and I need to count my steps. I have cholesterol issues, okay? That's why I have the shit. I'm not there to fucking look at texts. I'm there because I got to keep that shit for my heart, right? I sit down. I'm in the habit, man. The first fucking thing I do, it has a little drama button. It looks like 2 dramatic masks, comedic and dramatic. I hit that little button and the fucking screen doesn't activate anymore for the whole movie. Easy.
Perfect.
Takes 2 seconds.
And even, you know, I always do airplane mode on the phone. Just because, like, what the fuck do I need any type of, you know, you might think no one's going to call me at 7:30 on a Friday night, but it's election season, man. I'm getting random texts and calls left and right, you know, so.
You get those spam texts that are like, do you know about what this person is doing? Text 5 now to sign this petition to stop veto bill number 4. I'm like, hey, how did you get my number?
Exactly. Well, it's funny. And we definitely won't go political, but when I moved to North Carolina like 5 years ago, I didn't register with any one political party.
So you're a hot commodity.
Yeah, I'm getting it from every angle, every side, and quite honestly, I don't want to hear it from either side. I already know who I'm voting for and all that crap, but it's like, all the time. I'm literally just texting stop to opt out of every. You know, they could text me tomorrow and be like, "We want you to be the new Scream Factory guinea pig. We're going to send you all of our Blu-rays free of charge, and you get to watch them a year before anybody else." And I'm probably accidentally going to text.
You're going to be like, stop.
Opt out. Yeah.
I've been treating them the way that I treat the scammers when the scammers text me when they're like, "Hey Matt, it's me, Ariel. Do you remember me?" And I'll just send them like a really vile picture that I find like the first horrid picture I can find online. I think of like the most disgusting 13-year-old addled mind that thing you can think of. Jerky boys listening, beef jerky eating crap you can think of, and that's what I send them. And they usually go, "Thank you, you have opted out of this message."
Yep.
Some of them just
that.
leave it dangling.
It's funny because after seeing Beekeeper, we can, reference that again. I want to like engage and run up in some office building and fuck up some telemarketers like Statham does. But as we mentioned earlier, I got a hurt back, so I'm not doing any of that shit.
Yeah, you're not doing any beekeeping this year, year, man.
I'm not even butterfly keeping over here. So yeah, I'm out of that game.
That truly was. I mean, we said it before, but that truly is. And I'm gonna say it's tough to beat. It's Beekeeper's year right now, as far as I'm concerned. 2024.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters, I'm looking at you. Will Ghostbusters rise above? I hope so. I have high hopes for Ghostbusters. I have high hopes for Furiosa. As we said, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. There are a couple things coming down the line that I have high hopes for.
Yeah, me too.
But let me ask you this. So we saw Imaginary. You and I are both horror guys. Where did you stand on it? Feel free to spoil. Did it scratch the itch for you? Did it compete with Beekeeper at all for you for favorite movie of 2024, or was it a miss?
Well, I got to be honest, and sometimes I want to be all jovial and I want to like everything because it makes the conversation so much more fun. But I was pretty disappointed. It was kind of a big miss for me with Imaginary. I didn't have my horror itch scratched. I had to scratch it again later that night, Friday night. I think I watched The Fog or something.
I was going to ask you, I was like, what was the flavor? Because that's like when you have a craving, like you're like, I'll make it up. You're like, God damn, I want a Yoo-Hoo, right? And then you get a Yoo-Hoo and it's not good. And you're like, what the fuck? So then you go and you make yourself like a good chocolate milk or something at home. You're like, finally, the thing what was so I was going to say The Fog. That's what you pulled down.
The Fog. And I think I watched, because I watch a ton of movies, dude. Like when we're eating dinner, we're watching a movie. Like we don't generally have any TV streaming. And I have this trusty little app. You can see I'm not looking at my Zoom camera right now because I'm looking down at my app to see what we watched. Oh, you know what? It was raining. And I love watching rainy day movies. So before The Fog, I watched Dark City, which is one of my fucking favorites.
Oh, yes. We just talked about that on our Existenz episode because we were just like so excited. Yes, talking Dark City. That's a good one.
So that was like obviously not horror, but that was like, I think I even told my wife, like, we've been watching a lot of shitty movies lately. We need some heavy.
We need a guaranteed winner. We need a winning horse in this horse race. I confess, I'm going to tell you straight up, Tommy. I agree with you 100%. I thought Imaginary was awful. Let me just pull the Band-Aid off. I thought this movie was legitimately bad from top to bottom, and we'll go into why. But the itch I wanted to scratch was Dream Warriors. Like, especially the ending of Imaginary, it owes a lot to a lot of movies. It wants to be Poltergeist really bad. It also wants to be Dream Warriors really bad. There were some other here's my issue. Here's my issue with Imaginary, and I can get into all the technical shit because it's just going to be me bitching about it. My main issue with Imaginary is that the premise is great, right? Yeah. A premise of my imaginary friend returned from childhood and is maybe up to some nefarious, horrific shit in the modern day. I recognize since he's imaginary, other people can't see him. That's a great hook. The problem that I have with this movie is that it took that hook and it literally took the shortcut to the most cliched possible outcome for everything you can think of. So when I say to you, imaginary friend horror movie, the first thing you think of is, oh, it's probably going to be like a creepy toy. Yep, that's exactly what it is. And I would argue, so that's the cliche they fill, right? But they don't even go the extra 9 with it. It's just the most average looking teddy bear. Sometimes its face looks like it has an expression. Sometimes it doesn't. Right. Okay, we're going to have a bit where I knew it was coming before it even happened. I was like, oh, I bet we're going to have a bit where there's going to be a big twist. where the thing she thinks she's been seeing, that nobody knows what she's talking about, that it's going to be all in her head, right? Oh, of course, there we go. The twist happens, and I was like, there we go. Okay, then third, right? I was like, oh, they're going to get pulled. The minute I started seeing the pictures, there was like a fucking... there was like an MC Escher. No little kid has an MC Escher poster in their room of like the upside down stairs and shit. Once I saw that, I was like, please don't tell me that is what the dream world, the imaginary world is going to be. And lo and behold, that's exactly what it was. Insidious. That's what I wanted to say. That's the other movie I wanted to be really bad, where Insidious had established the further, right? This kind of like cool other world where the spirits roam. This has the never ever. And it is literally the same exact shit, except I would argue, and I'll go to bat for Insidious because I think it's a great fucking movie.
Yeah, I like
Insidious explores it so much more interestingly and builds lore with nothing. It's like they had like an eighth of the budget of this movie and they made it work, man. The world of the further feels real and unexplored and terrifying. The world of imaginary feels exactly the way you think it feels. It feels like a giant art installation with like fake MC Escher stairwells and fucking light up ceilings. And I was like, what is this?
It was like the Goblin King's lair or whatever it's called from Labyrinth.
Yes.
And it just was super uninspired. And that's one of the reasons why I always have been a huge fan of the Nightmare on Elm Streets, because every time you're in those nightmares, there's just funky, creative shit going on. Freddy eating meatballs shaped like kids' heads, and like the puppet walking the kid off the top of the mental hospital. His
when the fingers become the syringes, right?
Yeah. And he sticks them in that Terran girl's arms.
Yeah.
And then the suckers appear in her arms that he, as he's taking the syringes. And this dream world or imaginary world in Imaginary was just blue with like upside down staircases. And there wasn't even, it kind of reminded me of the underworld in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey a little bit, but even that was cooler.
Yeah.
Where there's different rooms and you open a different room. And it's like
or have you seen
setting with different characters in there?
Have you seen Little Monsters with Fred Savage and Howie Mandel?
Oh yeah, it's been a while, but yes.
Dude, okay, there's a whole bit at the end of that is exactly this too, where that monster world starts to spill out, and it looks far more imaginative, funny enough, than anything in Imaginary, which is like the shortest shortcut. It was basically, and I don't even want to call it this because I don't think it's fair to other gateway horror movies. It wants to be a gateway horror movie, but the problem is gateway horror movies are for their audience. This is a gateway horror movie for their filmmakers. Doesn't it feel like my first horror movie? Like my first attempt at a horror movie, right? I mean,
this completely felt like something to just put the money in the studio pocket. Like literally, there was no soul behind it. I think one of my biggest gripes, like even... I don't know, a half hour into the movie, I was like, it feels like AI wrote this fucking script.
Yes. The dialogue was horrible.
I was just going to say every line of dialogue, I saw it coming 16 minutes ahead of time.
And nobody acts like a human being. There's no real reaction to his situation, right? So, and also too, not only is there no real reaction to a situation, here's the other horrible AI bit, is that it's like when AI emulates what it thinks human behavior is, like, oh, I'm supposed to be sad. Oh, now another person is here. I am happy. Like, there's no character consistency scene to scene. So sometimes the mom is just, or the stepmom rather, is just like this really nice, welcoming presence. And then on a dime, she's a basket case, right? Same with the stepdaughters, same with the little kid. And not to be this guy, I try not to rag on little kid actors because it's a hard profession and they're kids.
Sure.
But fuck, man. Maybe don't hinge your whole horror movie. I thought this kid was abysmal and was totally grading the whole movie.
So when it started, I thought she was okay. And I thought, I hate to say it, but everybody else in the movie, except for Betty Buckley, who we should get to her later because I love Betty Buckley.
Yeah, she's good.
But I thought everybody but the little kid for the first half of the movie was god awful. And then the second half, the little kid started spitting out lines that
she
could
lived
just
down
see.
to the reputation of the rest of this movie.
Yeah, I'm like, ChatGPT wrote that, and she just said it, and basically, in the second half of the movie, I was like, no, this kid kind of sucks. But I agree with you. They're a kid. That's fine.
It's hard, but like again, but if that's all we've got, like she is the hitch point for the movie.
Oh, she's like the heart of the movie. And I thought that the situational stuff about, so the stepmom being crazy, they didn't even show really any craziness. It was just her saying the lines of like, I haven't been happy since then, and all these things. Nothing was.
It's other
shown
people
to
reacting to her like she's crazy, even though she hasn't done anything. That's what's fucking weird. The whole movie is weird like that.
And I thought it was the same way. Sorry to interrupt, but with I told myself this as soon as I walked out of the theater. We got to talk about the douchey Coachella hat wearing dad in the movie.
Yes. Okay. All right. This brings me to my point, right? Everyone is miscast. Nowhere on planet Earth. I think there's a way to make that storyline work, where the dad's a musician and he's just like a cool guy, and some universe. I didn't believe their anti-chemistry for a second. I was like, you two are not married. You know nothing about one another. They just cast some guy who I think kind of resembled Harry Styles. I think that's what they were going for. And then that was it. And thankfully that guy only has 10 minutes in the movie tops.
Right.
But I thought everybody, especially DeWanda Wise, who I feel bad saying that because I actually liked her. I didn't like Jurassic World Dominion, but she was one of the things I liked about it. But I think that all comes down to direction, because like here, I don't know if you noticed this, but DeWanda Wise, in addition to starring in this movie, is also an executive producer. And I think that leaves an unchecked, like nobody's there to tell her no. So her crappy first take is, I think, what we get in the movie for every scene.
I think so. And I thought it's funny because I don't think she's a big enough name where I recognized right away, oh, that's the girl from Jurassic World. But throughout the movie, I was like, she reminds me of the pilot in Jurassic World. Well, sure enough, by the end, I was like, that is her. And I think for both movies, they didn't have much for her to do. And in Jurassic World, it made a little more sense because she was like a brand new character just introduced in the 6th film of the franchise. So it's kind of like, you're not going to have a lot to do. And I did like her in it. I just didn't think she had enough in her role to like blow me away. And then in this movie, she's the main protagonist. She's the heroine, the star. And
there's no dinosaurs to distract you, man. It's just her.
There's no Chris Pratt riding shotgun making, little
making it easy
remarks
for her. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so she didn't have much to play off of. It was her carrying a lot of the screen time and the emotion. And I just thought it was really bad. And I did not notice she was a producer. So that does make a lot of sense. Yep. I honestly just chalked it up to the fact that the movie was such a low budget. And I really feel like if you traced back enough, you'd find some AI contributions.
Somebody AI'd this. They fucking the night before it was due. ChatGPT just quickly spat out a draft, and they were like, "This is good. This seems good. I see some fun stuff with the bear. Yeah, you really wrote this.
You nailed it, ChatGPT 3.4." Right. So I definitely thought that the main actors, which were the mom, DeWanda Wise, and then the little girl, I was unimpressed. And then everybody else was a very cliched character. I mean, even the overbearing neighbor who's always kind of lingering around, that was totally cliche, but I did like that character probably the best because
it's Betty Buckley.
Betty Buckley, she's awesome. I love her in M. Night Shyamalan movies. I just watched Split.
Isn't she the lady in The Happening who's like,
yes,
take my lemon? What? Nobody's gonna
like,
take your lemonade.
What are you talking about? Do me a favor, say hello to your mother for me, Betty. Okay. And then she snaps. You know who she is? That I think this is obvious when you know it, but it's easy to forget. And she's the gym teacher in Carrie, 1976.
Yes.
And I love her in Carrie. As a kid, I had a mega crush on that gym teacher. So
is that the one? Maybe the one gym teacher in all of cinema that somebody could say that about, I think.
That you can have a crush on, unless you count Kelly LeBrock at the end of
at the end of Weird Science. Good pull. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so Betty Buckley, before I even saw Imaginary, I saw she was in it and was like, "Oh, great, I love her," and I thought she was funny, and I loved her emotion, and I loved how she like had a guttural scream for like joy when she found out she was right and that this world was real. She was like, "I told him," like. But I don't think her character was great.
No,
and
ChatGPT failed Betty Buckley. Betty Buckley can only do so much with the script
better.
that ChatGPT gave her, because she definitely, there's the minute you see her, because it's Betty Buckley, you're like, oh, thank God. But the minute you see her, you're like, yeah, not only do you secretly really know what's going on because you're being so nice, you're also bad. Like, you knew right away she was going to turn on them, right?
Right away.
And they drag it out. But I knew it was coming once they got to that imaginary, the never ever.
Well, and then like, everything that was supposed to be a mega surprise, a plot turning device, like you said, you saw it coming when they found the dad in the imaginary world. Is like, oh, here we go. This is where he's been this whole time. Like, no shit, like, and I just thought that, like you said earlier, the premise, there's so much they could have done with it naturally. That whole first scene where supposedly the dad was going crazy and tearing ass through the house when the little girl was young. Show us that
exactly stuff. This is my problem with movies that take place right in a world of imagination. It's never going to compete with anyone's imagination in the audience. I think the Freddy movies, to their credit, are the only ones who got it right, and they weren't saying imagination. They were saying dreams and nightmares, which I think is very different, right? So they can kind of skirt the line in terms of, well, did this really compete with what's possible in the imagination is so vast. It's such a daunting thing. Like, I'm sorry, but you have to be a halfway decent writer and a halfway decent visualist to really pull that off. And these people just aren't. These just are not the best. They're not even the best that Blumhouse has to offer. Like, I started to think about the recent Blumhouse movies. And I think the only one they've had that's worked recently was Megan. Everything else that's come after, Five Nights at Freddy's, Exorcist Believer, Night Swim. There may have been one more that I'm missing. All huge airballs. Like, the worst 100%. Kind of airballs. And they're still coasting because Blumhouse is still making good on their, hey, we bring movies in really low budget. That's why we're allowed to do this crap and keep the crap machine rolling, right?
And I appreciate that, because we need those $10 to $50 million movies to come to the theaters. Otherwise, it's just going to be fucking biopics and IPs and sequels and prequels and requels and
man. There's only so many Kung Fu Pandas we can have.
Right.
We need tiny movies like this. I agree, but the problem is, I think in someone's hands like James Wan, who is a genius in my opinion, that guy can turn the further into something palpable, real, tense, right? I'm sorry, but Jeff Wadlow is not it. Jeff Wadlow doesn't know. You don't give that guy the super high concept horror movie. Like, he's just going to take all the shortcuts. Like, that was the other thing. I want to talk to you about Chauncey Bear, right? And not just the Chauncey that we see in the movie. Like, once we get to the real form of Chauncey, and you know me, I love puppets and I love big guys in suits and physical effects. And to their credit, they went for a physical puppet, like a huge bear with this kind of unhinged jaw. He looks cool, but the problem is I just hate his movie. I'm actually going to say it as a positive. I think that Chauncey, whatever you want to call it, the demon Chauncey, looks awesome. Hate the movie he's in. I think it's a complete waste.
The thing about the demon bear that was unfulfilling for me is you barely see him again, and it's not until you kind of are already checked out of the movie that you actually are like, oh, and here he is.
Here he comes again, lumbering up the stairs or whatever.
I will say one thing that's not at all horror related, but I added a little bit of enjoyment to the bear situation for me, and only me, because it's about someone I grew up with, and you have like inside jokes with your friends, from high school or whatever. And I had a buddy named Chauncey, and which was, it's not a super common name. And his middle name was Burr. So we always called him Chauncey.
No way.
So, and he's like a sergeant for a police district in precinct in Michigan somewhere. He's like high up in the police force. He's all badass now or whatever. But Chauncey Burr is his name. And so as soon as I heard Chauncey Bear, I was like, yep, I got to mention that. And then I also, as soon as they said that the name in the beginning was CB, immediately, because the name Chauncey had been dropped and we had seen a fucking bear, I immediately in my head went Chauncey Bear. And then that was another shoe drop later in the movie where they thought they were dropping some like crazy knowledge on us all. And they were like,
yes.
Do you know why you called him that? And I'm like, Chauncey Bear. And then they show CB written out like a Navy SEAL CB.
It's like
and
the thing that you're... It's like the thing you would do as a kid to like impress your parents. And then the guy with the hook was there. It was the guy from the beginning of the story. What's that Simpsons Treehouse of Horror where it's like, didn't I mention he had a hook before? No. Okay,
well, he had a hook.
That's what it was.
So, but I can appreciate the practical effects too. I do think Five Nights at Freddy's ruined like any type of animatronic or puppet looking.
You can't fuck with Jim Henson's Creature Shop, man. You cannot. No. You can't take a swing at the king and miss, which is what this movie did. Jim Henson's Creature Shop does not fuck around.
No, even 20, 30 years after the man himself is gone,
they're still bringing
underlings are carrying the flame for him. So
yes, as our buddy Kevin from The Real For Real says, you will catch smoke if you try to go near Jim Henson's Creature Shop. They don't fuck around. Even though that Five Nights at Freddy's movies was awful, those puppets were insane and kind of raised that movie a bit for me. Like made me forgive a lot, which is kind of what I think Jason Blum was almost hoping for with Imaginary. Like if I put enough cool shit for the physical effects people, they will forgive the first hour and 40 minutes of this movie.
Right. But there just wasn't enough.
Also, too, because while Chauncey looks good, there are some other physical manifestations in the Never Ever that don't look good. Like that Spider-Man looks horrible.
Yep. And
there's another guy who I also think was like either the Spider-Man or like another version of the demon that's kind of there. He's just like this flat-faced... It almost looked like they took Bagul from Sinister, took the hair off him, and gave him like some eyes that were projectors. I didn't understand that bit.
It felt a little bit also like the demon in Insidious that you see flash behind Patrick.
Oh, Darth Maul.
Head.
Yes, the Darth Maul demon.
The Darth Maul looking motherfucker. But yeah, and that was a gripe for me too, because we see the bear, we see the spider guy. I don't want to say Spider-Man because that's unbecoming of the legend.
Mr. Spider-Man.
Spider guy, yeah, Spider-Man. But then when we see like that shadow figure behind her in the hallway, and see, that was the scene where I thought it could have been cool when she sees the little girl playing Tea Party and she's talking and it's all sweet and cute because she's like, yeah, she's using her imagination. And then she gets closer and she sees the feet move away. And then the little girl says, she said he's behind you. And then it's that dark figure. I was like, oh, here we go. But then, it was the mom from the crazy house with no further explanation of why she had an inkling to come save her daughters, what part she was playing in this imaginary world. She just had escaped from the coop and was here to get her daughters. And
no one reacts to that like a human being. No one is like, oh my God, isn't that fucking crazy that you have been secretly texting your mom in the insane asylum, who knows how she got a phone, and made her way here to find our new house and come to break in stealthily like she's in goddamn SEAL Team 6. No one heard her, right? Like, no one reacts. Here's another example of that. I had to laugh out loud in the theater. The final shot of the movie, once they escape the Never Ever, and the movie fucks around and tricks you like, oh, we've got 3 false endings. I was like, here we go with the false endings, right?
Yep.
When they finally burn the fucking house down, okay? They're like, nah, fuck it. I knew she was going to say, let it burn. I was like, of course, right?
Right.
Okay, here comes the fire department. Okay, any other movie, easy to give those guys direction. Okay, there's a roaring fire happening in a suburban neighborhood, guys. So we need you to race out of the fire truck like you're fucking ready to put a fire out. Dude, these were the most casual firemen.
Yeah, they're just so
They
blasé.
roll up, one guy gets out of the front. No one's in gear. He doesn't even have a fucking helmet on. I swear to God, it's one fireman in his like casual blues where they're just in like a blue t-shirt, and he just gets out, no gear. He's like, no, okay. And that's the movie.
He's like eating a cup of noodles. Like, I guess we got the call for this thing or whatever.
It sounds like a Seinfeld ending. That's really what it is. There's the firemen show up. That's how low effort this movie is. They couldn't even be bothered to have their fake firemen show like some effort and be in gear to be like, oh God, there's a fucking huge fire in this neighborhood. It's not even like we're in a rural area. The next house is right Betty Buckley's house is right there.
And it's like a 5-alarm fire that could easily
because ChatGPT didn't think to put that in the script. ChatGPT just wrote fireman arrive, and they were like, "Oh well, it says fireman, not firemen. Let's have one guy just show up." Right?
It doesn't say anything about being in full dress. So
he's not in full gear. He doesn't seem excitable or scared. It just says he arrives. Let's shoot that.
He just came from the firefighters local softball tournament and fucking just wanted to check and make sure everything was okay.
Yeah, dude, I've seen more convincing firefighting on Tacoma FD, which is a comedy show about firefighters.
I have not seen that yet, but I need to because I like Broken Lizard. So,
yeah, Super Troopers, good stuff, man.
Yeah.
It was really rough. I think I wanted to talk to you a bit about the Never Ever because this does I don't want to keep beating a dead horse, or in this case, a dead bear, but like, you brought it up with Nightmare on Elm Street. And that's such a great comparison because it's like all those movies could do. They were able to visualize the nightmarescape, the dreamscape, the mind in so many different creative ways. And this was just so unimaginative. And like, once we get into the Never Ever, which we've already said how crappy it looks, but like even Betty Buckley reiterates the point, I believe, where she says, this is her imagination. She's building and putting all the things here that she's ever wanted. Why would you ever want to leave this incredible place? And I was like, okay, is it going to be like a Dr. Manhattan thing where we start to see the world pull apart, come back in, it's building new elements all the time? They don't have that kind of budget.
No, it's literally there's a couple doors to open.
That's it. And there are no rules. At least in the Freddy movies, you're like, okay, if Freddy gets you in the dream, you're dead in real life. That's the deal. Right. Here, we don't ever realize there's no like, oh fuck, if that happens to us in the Never Ever, we're dead here. Like there's never any stakes established. So I don't know if it's dangerous for them to be there, how long they're there, how they exactly get out. Like they kind of visually established that the dad was painting over a door, kind of Beetlejuice style. He like made his own door with some ink and then he started to paint over it, right, to kind of shut the door out. And I was like, well, couldn't somebody have said, like literally add it into the ChatGPT script where it's like, hey, whatever you do when you get in there, remember you got to make a door and it's only going to be there for X amount of time and then you got to seal it. Like that immediately sets stakes. So we're like, oh fuck, if you're in there, we know you have a limited amount of time and you got to seal the door when you leave. But we're never told how it works.
No, and even when she was like making that mixed media blue door, which she was, paint and plaster in the inside.
That's a good resource of our time. That's a good use of our time, by the way.
They're like, we got a lot of extra blue on set. Let's
make sure everybody has a part to play with our crafting, right? It's not like we're trying to escape. Let's give everybody something to do.
But that was like our introduction to that being the way out was when she was doing it. There was no reason to think, oh yeah, remember earlier when they were talking about the blue doors of perception? No, nothing like that. It was just paint the door blue. So, go in that bitch with blue jeans and fashion them the shape of a door every time and you can come and go as you please. Basically.
And also too, if it's imaginary rules, where if I just don't believe in you and I imagine a door I can get out, kind of like you were talking about Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. Remember when they figure out the time thing and they're like, dude, all we got to do is just remember to set the lock and get the cage and that's it. I was like, okay, well now that we know the rules, why can't the characters in Imaginary do that? But like, fuck that. I can imagine an RPG. I'm going to shoot you with this giant RPG. No one ever thinks to like use their imagination because they are hampered by the ChatGPT script and no budget.
100%.
So that's the problem.
And I just felt like we kept arriving in places in set pieces where it's like the characters had to tell us why they were there, and then we went to the next one and then they said why they were there. And it was like nothing happened organically. Even though you could see it coming a mile away, there was nothing leading us there. It was just obvious that it was going to be that way because it was so easy. It was such a cookie cutter vanilla script with literally, it didn't feel like there were consequences. It didn't feel like there was any motivation. Didn't feel like there was any like real connection or love. I hated some of the references too. Of course, the little girl being named Alice was probably the best reference, as in like Alice, into the rabbit hole. That was cool. But then like the fact that the house was on whatever the street
It
number
was on Elm Street.
Elm Street, and it was
Get
also
the fuck
in
outta here.
Springwood,
Yep.
which is like, that's too on the fucking nose, man. Why didn't you just say it was in Haddonfield, Illinois on October
That's what I'm saying.
30th?
Like, this isn't a gateway horror movie for fans. It's a gateway horror movie for its filmmakers. Because that's something that, like, that's what you think of when you're 15 years old making a movie. You're like, let's say they're on Elm Street. Yeah, that's great.
Well, and I think, so I kind of, towards the end of the movie, when I had given up hope, like all hope, and I was just ready for it to be done, I was kind of looking around at the audience and seeing like how other people were reacting to it. And you know, I'm not a big fan of that. Usually I'm there for my own personal watching experience. Generally, I don't want to be in too reactive of a theater because sometimes it can go wrong. You know, like I remember when I saw the 2009 Friday the 13th, there were teens running up and down the fucking aisle after each kill because they were so scared. And it's like a cool story later, but it was super annoying.
Sure.
There, you know. So in imaginary though, I could tell that the kids in the theater were kind of digging the movie. And so I did take a little joy in the fact that by the last third, you know, by the third act, I was like, okay, I think at least these 14-year-olds are digging this, and maybe it'll make them want to watch better shit and maybe get off their phones. But it also felt like they enjoy this because this is like AI TikTok horror.
Yes. Yes. It is the
maybe it's a sign of the times.
Lowest common denominator, least challenging. I won't even say Kmart. I'll say it. This is the Dollar General horror movie. It's just, there's no thought been put to it. It's accessible to everyone, and that's a shame because there are so many other better gateway horror movies. The Gate, for example, is a great gateway horror movie. You know, another great gateway horror movie that came out recently, it's a streamer, and I talked about it on the show when it came out. Nightbooks. It's a Netflix original produced by Sam Raimi, and it feels like Evil Dead for kids.
Really? I have not seen that.
It's fucking great. It's great. You watch it, and at the end of that movie, you're like, God damn, this is like Evil Dead 2. This is crazy.
That's funny. I'll have to watch that. I did.
Nightbooks. I loved Nightbooks.
You want to hear some crazy shit? So Friday night we talked about what did you break your fast on, Tommy Nuggetz, and it was like, well, you know, Dark City in the Fog. But Saturday night I watched The Gate.
Oh, there you go. Yes.
Literally, just this Saturday.
A great gateway horror movie, right there.
Yeah, for sure.
Right there. Rip the Band-Aid off with that.
Yeah, if you're a kid, get you into some creature features, into some demonic shit.
Please don't watch Imaginary.
Fun.
Please don't. Or just go and use that as your leapfrog point. Go to some other things now, and avoid Jeff Wadlow in the future because that guy he just does not know what's going on. I don't mean to keep picking on him, but it's like every movie I've seen from this guy I hated.
What else has he done?
He made most famously recently he made Kick-Ass 2.
Okay.
And I loved the first Kick-Ass so much. I despised Kick-Ass 2. The only thing I liked about Kick-Ass 2 was Jim Carrey. And then that put a sour taste in my mouth because Jim Carrey came out and he was like bitchy about his role in the movie.
Yeah, he became very adamant about almost like sinking the marketing for that movie and hurting it and damaging it because he was all pissed about gun violence and that he was making a movie glorifying it, which I can understand the sentiment of, but his character is one of the best in Kick-Ass 2, and we never get roles like that from Jim Carrey. So I was also like kind of disappointed that became his stance on it. I will say though, as much as I like Kick-Ass 1 better, and I love Matthew Vaughn's movies for the most part, I rewatched Kick-Ass 2 like maybe, I don't know, within the last year, and it was a better rewatch than my first watch. I will say that. But it still doesn't hold a candle to the first one.
He also made, funny enough, this feels like his first horror movie, but it's not. He also made another Blumhouse movie, Truth or Dare, which I never saw.
It sounds like some TikTok shit.
Yeah, the girl's face gets all smiley. He also made Fantasy Island, the Blumhouse horror movie version of Fantasy Island, which I wanted to see and never watched, and I'm kind of glad I didn't see it now.
Is that a movie version of the TV show?
It's a movie version of the TV show, but it's not faithful. There's no Mr. Rourke and tattoo. It's like, let's go to this island where all of our dreams come true, and somebody's trying to kill them.
So it's just like in the Fantasy Island universe, basically, or
Yeah, but like very tangentially, like just like
Yeah.
the furthest you can get with just being able to use the brand name recognition. Like it
Like, they're
says
at the- they're at
Pennzoil,
the
but is this
edge.
real oil on? Yeah,
they're
that's
at the
exactly
edge
what
of
it
the
was.
island. They're on the other opposite side of the island.
Yeah,
that
they're in the
doesn't get
Fantasy Island
tourists.
parking lot. Like they're in the parking lot to the ferry that takes you to Fantasy Island, and that's what they're calling Fantasy Island.
Lot Z, to be exact. They're all the way out Lot Z.
Let me ask you this. I think I know the answer, but I think people will want to know. I know it is subjective, but were there any scares for you? Did any of the scares work or translate for you in the movie at all?
No, and that's the thing that really stuck out to me in the beginning of the movie. I'm all down for a slow burn and something that takes a while to build up before it pays off, but it didn't feel like there was any build up, any tension being built. And so by the time that there were a couple tiny little jump scares, I was already like, yeah, okay, the bear's probably going to get big now. And look, there he is. He's big. And so, there really was nothing for me. Where you had mentioned some other Blumhouse stuff earlier. I haven't seen Night Swim, but Megan, I get that it's maybe a little overrated. And
I
people went a
loved
little
Megan.
bananas.
I loved it.
Still think it's great. I got it for Christmas and I rewatched The Blue at the end of December, and I really still enjoyed Megan a lot.
Yeah. I can't wait for whatever it is, Megan 2.0. I'm excited. I'll be there. I will be there.
M3gan 2.0.
Yeah, Mithrigan 2.
More Mithriganer. And I think I covered that one with you guys last year. And I enjoyed Megan. It held up for me. And there are still a few moments, even if they're not scary, that are like creepy and unsettling. And in Imaginary,
that's a great gateway horror movie. Megan.
Oh yeah, totally. And then watch the new Child's Play, and then watch the old Child's Plays after that.
Yes.
But yeah, nothing in Imaginary sticks out as a good scare. I mean, even when Betty Buckley, when the nosy neighbor turned on him and you realize, oh fuck, this chick just slammed the door, they're stuck there. I was like, yeah, I knew that was going to happen. You should have brought more than just a pair of scissors, guys. Like,
Yeah.
I never felt that scared. Not even the cheap jump scare really catch me. And that is probably the thing I was most disappointed by, because that's why you go to a horror movie. So how about you? Was there anything that
nothing worked? And I at this point I would have settled for a cheap jump scare-a-thon. I would have settled for a Nun or Nun 2, like at least so I get some kind of bang for my buck. I'm not even a jump scare fan. But funny enough, the two movies I thought would be heavy on jump scares, both Blumhouse, this and Five Nights at Freddy's, were both kind of devoid of jump scares. They wanted to be more like mood tension builders, and they failed. Both movies failed, I think, at that. This one especially. At least with Five Nights at Freddy's, it was fun to try to guess, like, well, which puppet is gonna make an appearance to try to hurt someone. Here, it was like, I knew there was Chauncey Bear. I knew he was gonna pop out. Like, there's a whole bit that could have been great. There's a whole bit in the movie where the stepsister, her neighbor, comes over. He's like a guy who's clearly got the hots for her. They're hanging out there. He's not supposed to be there while DeWanda Wise is out visiting her dad. And the guy gives her, looks like he's giving her Molly, and they're acting like they're tripping around the house. And he goes to the bathroom, and he thinks he sees the bear in the bathroom with him. And it's sort of, you get this creepy bit that they totally stole from the new Poltergeist, by the way, where he's watching the pull string go through his legs. That is a direct rip from the Poltergeist that came out in, I want to say 2015 or 2016. That's like a direct rip of that. And I thought, oh, that's great. Nobody will believe this kid. That's actually very smart. Nobody will believe this kid because he's on drugs, right? And because he's on drugs, I was like, what kind of crazy other shit is he going to see? The answer is nothing.
Because he was on fucking birth
control. He's on vitamins or whatever it was. Which is a funny look. I chuckled. I did chuckle when the mom was like, you're a fucking dick. It's vitamins. But like, I'm laughing in a bro way because it's funny that kid got called out by his mom.
Right.
I was just like, what a wasted opportunity. Like, they could have done something interesting where either they had an experience with Chauncey and no one believes them because they were high. They cast it off as a drug thing, or the drugs make them visualize all this crazy shit, and maybe what they were really seeing was truly what was there in the Never Ever, right? Like, they could have done that. What I just said to you, those are interesting takes, I think, on the material.
Oh, yeah.
They're not interested in doing that.
they kicked the ass out of the AI script because, I never really thought about that part too much, but now that you're saying it, it's like, yeah, it would have been sweet if, every time someone sees this bear, a world of their own imagination starts to engulf them, right? And
Yes.
and so then if this guy's really tripping, and he's fucking seeing things that are even more so like more fucked up than what the little girl or the mom are going to see. And then the fact that he's tripping in his own head, he's like, whoa, I took some bad Molly, bro. But really it's like, no, you're being sucked into the imaginary right now. And they totally wasted it. And then they pretty much throw it all away with like, no, you stupid dick. Those were vitamin C pills or whatever.
Right,
Whatever
exactly.
is, I did think that was funny.
Also, too, they throw it away. Like, that could have been also interesting. Like, okay, he didn't see shit because, oh, you know what I just realized? Okay, that fucking twist does not make sense anymore. Because the big twist where it's revealed that DeWanda Wise is the only person who can see the bear along with the daughter, right?
Yeah, how's that work? If
How the fuck does the druggy guy see the, how's he seeing the bear?
Yeah, that's a good point. And,
what the fuck?
And I thought the thing with the twist with the bear not being visible to everybody was really a letdown anyway, because clearly the little girl is seeing something. So what's she seeing then? A stuffed rabbit? Like,
yes.
I honestly just took that as, I think what they were trying to do was convey that this stepmom was still attached to this world, or maybe crazy, where she's seeing things that not everybody else is seeing. But really it's like, no, you just see what it is to you. So to her it was a bear.
Yeah, why didn't it to him look like, take a different shape, look like something else?
Right, a little plush Jerry Garcia wrestling buddy,
or like a funny anthropomorphic pot leaf, like a plushie,
right,
or a bong, right? Like,
yeah,
there could have been other funny things there, a giant pill, who knows what it could have been,
right?
Something silly, like if you want to go for comedy, or I don't know, they could have just done so many other things. And I'm sad to say this too, because I do want to bring this up really quick, because you guys know on this show we love our live haunted experiences, we love HHN. Blumhouse actually staged an imaginary walkthrough, like an experience that you could go to, where you could walk through rooms and sets of imaginary, and then they had a real mutant Chauncey Bear at the end that would come out and scare you. And I saw a video of that, I want to say 2 weeks ago, on a horror TikTok I follow, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be cool. It got me really excited for the movie. No, they just took the bear visual things, bear, to get you into the door. And that's what they did. They were counting on these quickie little elements to hook you. Right. And the sad part is there's nothing underneath the surface. There's no substance.
No, and I think, these guys are probably okay because they made their money back, but I think the second week numbers are going to be terrible.
Oh yeah, I think it's going to sink like a stone.
I mean, I've got IMDb pulled up right now and it's sitting at a 4.9, which, I tend to find that movies when they're newer are sitting at a little bit of a higher rating because nobody wants to be like, yeah, we just wasted our money at the movie.
It's recency bias.
Right. And I said this to my wife before we went. Sometimes just the fact that you get out of the house for a couple hours and go do something, you like it more than
right. That's worth an extra star, right?
Yeah, it kept me busy on a Friday evening for a little bit. But when I saw before we went to the movie, and I do like to look at a few things. I definitely don't read like reviews or get spoilers, but I like to get a little ear to the street before I see something, see who's directed it, see maybe who the top build cast is, what to expect. And when I saw at the time Imaginary, it's at a 4.9 now, but I think it was at a 4.6 Friday afternoon. And I was like, ooh, that's bad. That means people went and saw this Thursday night or Friday morning.
Like, we got to let people know. Those people are doing God's work.
They were
trying to warn people. Yeah.
Yes.
They were like, don't go in there.
And it's funny. You had mentioned on Insta the other day about Blood and Honey, the Winnie the Pooh movie winning all of its Razzie Awards.
Yeah.
And and you were like, I'm sorry, guys, I made you watch this. I almost responded,
you son of a bitch.
You made me watch another shitty bear horror movie too. But I was like, it's cool.
Sorry.
It's cool.
Oh my God.
I've watched, like I said on Insta, for those folks of you who don't read all of Matt and Mark's comments, I'll fill you in. You were like profusely apologizing, and I was like, dude, I watch shitty movies on my own all the time, so I can't blame anybody for steering me down that road.
Dude,
Yeah,
Oh
we're
my
0 for
God.
2 with bear movies,
I
man.
promise you, Tommy, no more bear movies for you. If there's a bear involved, I'm just gonna be like, listen, I can't ask Tommy in good conscience to come back for this.
They're gonna bring back Walter Matthau and Billy Bob Thornton for a new Bad News Bears movie, and you're gonna be like,
I can't do it.
It's got
Can't do it,
bears.
man. Cocaine Bear 2. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah,
Can't do
right.
it. So Tommy, I think it's obvious, but I will have to ask. Would you recommend Imaginary?
I would say this: if one of my buddies called me and said, "Look, my son wants to take a girl on a date to a horror movie, but this girl doesn't like horror movies," and I'd be like, "What are they? 15, 14? And you're going to drop them off at the theater? Yeah, take them to Imaginary. I guess I recommend it."
They're actually 30. They're both 30.
Then no, they should stay home and rent
Yeah.
fucking The Fog or The Thing, anything else.
Yeah. Just go to
so-
Applebee's. It's scarier.
I think, yeah, no shit. I think on Instagram, amongst the fellow cinemaphiles and movie heads, absolutely, I would not recommend Imaginary.
Yeah, I'm in the same exact boat as Tommy. I think that's a good way to put it. If it's like a little kid who's never seen a horror movie before, and you're maybe a horror parent trying to share some horror with your kid, you could do a lot better. But if this is the thing, I guess, that gets them interested, great. Everybody else, stay far away. That'd be my advice. Avoid the fucking Noid and avoid Imaginary would be my advice. I want to thank my buddy Tommy for hanging out with me. I'm so sorry, Tommy. 0 for 2 on the Scary Bear movies.
It's okay, because if it wasn't this, it would have been some other. I go watch movies on Friday afternoon, and Friday afternoon is not a blockbuster time for me generally.
No,
unless
is that where
something
you
at the
take a
theater.
risk with the shit? You're like, all right, this could be awful. Now it's my time to bang this out.
A little bit, at least on Fridays, I try and like shoot high, but when it's late mid-afternoon and it's like the weekend's about to be honest, I don't give a fuck. I can
you know what I call that? I call that my Tubi time.
Dude, Tubi, I have
time.
been hitting up Tubi. I just watched Open Range on Tubi yesterday.
Oh, there you go.
Dude, Tubi,
I just added a bunch of Tubi shit. I added like The Video Dead, Highway to Hell, and one other thing, and I was like, ooh, there's gonna be some Tubi time coming up very soon.
I think that either Tubi or Shudder is where I also watch The Gate. So
there you go.
Tubi has its place for sure, but yeah, I would say Tubi time is a good way to call the mid-afternoon dump hour when you're willing to watch some 4s, 5s, and maybe if you're lucky some 6s, but that's about it.
That's right. I don't think 6s are allowed on Tubi.
Yeah, you're probably right.
So. I think like a Tubi 5 is like a real world 3 or 4.
Yeah,
but like if you get a Tubi 6, you might actually have something there.
Yeah, you might own it, honestly, if it's you or
you probably have it already.
It.
You know what I've been doing on Tubi, man, is I've been auditioning certain Kino Lorber titles or certain, boutique titles like, oh, okay, I'm interested in this. I want to see it, but I don't want to quite pony up the money for the disc yet. And then I see it's on Tubi. I audition the movie. I watch it, and then I'm like, all right, this is one I'm going to pick up.
Tubi's great for stuff like that. And, I've been watching late night. I've been watching the original 2 seasons of The Outer Limits from the 60s.
Oh,
and
nice.
That is on Freevee, which is Amazon's like video version of
that
Tubi.
used to be IMDb TV.
Yes. Yep. Now it's called Freevee. And I will say, just from watching both of the free services recently, Tubi is far superior because at least Tubi kind of places their ad breaks in strategic locations, where Freevee, it's like damn near mid-sentence and they're fucking cutting a commercial.
The fucking Wild West over there.
Oh, basically, yeah. And then with Tubi also, it gives you that little window in the top.
Oh,
of
it
your
tells
screen.
you. Yes.
Yeah. Ad break coming up in 10, 9, 8. And Freevee, again, it's just, not, you're listening to a quiet courtroom conversation and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, FanDuel's coming to your fucking state, you morons. Get addicted to something else like FanDuel. And hope they're not a sponsor of your show because
no, not FanDuel. And then you cut back to your movie and you've missed a whole line of dialogue.
Yeah, it's mid-sentence Peter Fonda in the juror's room, and you're like, wait, what did he?
Like, what the fuck
say?
is he saying? Is he getting acquitted or not?
Guilty or not guilty? Because it cut out in between the two fucking words.
You're trying to watch 12 Angry Men. Keeps getting cut in with FanDuel.
What's funny about that? I don't know why I picked that because I just ordered the Kino Lorber. They had it on sale for
12
$20.
Angry Men. Yes.
Yes. And
Yes.
it's got a 5 out of 5 for video rating on
People are
Blu-ray.com.
raving about how the transfer, about how good it looks.
And it includes, I don't know if you knew this, but it includes the like 1997 remake 12 Angry Men on
Oh
Blu-ray.
shit! Oh, the one they did for TV.
Yeah, I think wasn't it William Friedkin that did that?
I want to say it was. Yeah, I think it was.
So I'm pretty stoked.
Dude, I love Kino.
Kino is awesome. And you were talking about this earlier on Insta. I had been waiting for Leviathan to come out for like 2 years on 4K.
Yeah.
And so that was a day one pre-order for me, and I got that from Kino a couple weeks back. And it's cool to
awesome.
see. Oh, it's such an underrated movie. Both that and Deep Star Six kind of got Deep Star Sixed by The Abyss.
Yeah.
And I love The Abyss, but I actually prefer those other two movies because they're what I watched when I was a kid more.
Yeah.
So Leviathan, their Kino Lorber transfer on 4K is beautiful. It's gorgeous. And I'm sure the streamers on Max have a nice, at least 1080p, if not 4K version.
I'm sure it's comparable, but nothing's going to compete with that hard disc.
No, and I was very pleasantly, the wait was worth it with Leviathan. So yeah, I'm right there with you, man. Kino has, for my money, the best looking transfers. They don't have the best cover art. They don't always pick the most sexy.
Dude,
movies.
if they could get on with like hiring somebody to make custom art for the slips,
oh, dude,
they would be unfucking stoppable.
And they could sell their shit like Arrow for 35 or 40 brand new, whereas Kino stuff is like 27, which is still worth it for the right movie.
But I like it too. Like, that's for your newer stuff. If you go back through their backlog, right, and you're like, oh, well, let me find some weird 70s cop movies that maybe I've never heard of, you get a very fair price. Like, you can get Blu-rays as low as $6.
Absolutely. And even some of their recent 4Ks, I know they did a release of To Live and Die in LA last year.
I have that. Yes.
Yeah. And it's a grimy, gritty 80s cop movie, but it looks so good. Whoever is working at Kino that's in charge of the actual restoration of the film we see.
They kick
screen,
ass, man. Yeah.
You're doing a great job. I love you, person, whoever you are. Team of people, I should say.
I could not have said it better myself. Tommy, I want to thank you for hanging out with me for Imaginary on this episode. Please tell the people where they can find you, and if there's anything else you want to say.
Yeah, we are at CTSO with Tommy Nuggetz. We pretty much are kind of just a movie geek page of look what I've gone and seen or purchased recently. We've taken quite a bit of a hiatus from the podcast and just been doing some life shit that has taken precedence over any make-believe podcast stuff I want to be doing. But I love living vicariously through you guys, Matt and Mark, and watching you guys just like steady churn out new content, new episodes, social media stuff. You guys are my like podcast heroes. You're my idols in this game. So anytime you ask me to be on, I'm happy to come talk shop with you, man. Cause great minds think alike. And even though I'm not making new eps, I am still knocking out a couple movies a day, folks.
I love that. I love
the good
that.
shit. Yep. So
we love having you around, Tommy. We're so happy that you're here, and it's always just fun to just like fucking geek out with you about stuff, because I feel like more so, I will tell you this, even in my real life outside of the podcast, when I'm watching a movie, probably 9 times out of 10, I'm like, Tommy has either seen this or I know Tommy wants to see this.
Oh, there's plenty of times, a couple friends that I've made over the years, a dude I used to work with for many years at Best Buy, which fuck Best Buy right now, by the way.
Yeah, fuck
fucking
them.
assholes. And then my, T. Callie, who did one of my episodes with me a couple of years back, about a year and a half ago, he's a big movie guy. So there's plenty of times I'm thinking of those specific friends, and you and Mark have entered that lexicon of friendships in my
We've
brain.
occupied your never ever.
Yeah. I'm like, I wonder if Matt's watching this tonight too. He's probably watching Trading Places. It is
Hell
New
yeah.
Year's.
You're like, I mean, it's Valentine's Day. He's probably watching My Bloody Valentine, and you'd be right.
Yes, sir. Me too. You'd be right this way as well.
I appreciate that. Well, thank you again. Do go follow Tommy. Show him some love. Chances are, if you're a fan of the show, you're a fan of Tommy. We've had him on so many times. I know people love when you pop up on the show. So I promise next time we have Tommy on, no bears, and we'll get him a better movie. That's it for us this week. We'll be back next week to celebrate. I'm just going to say it. We're back next week to celebrate St. Patty's with a special guest. And we're doing the very obvious thing. I just decided I'm not going to try to be clever. Next week, we're reviewing the first Leprechaun. We're going retro review. We're talking the first Leprechaun, we're just talking Leprechaun from 1993. We could have gone to the Hood. We could have gone to space. We're going to the first one. I want to see Jennifer Aniston. We just talked about her on our Dr. Giggles episode and how she almost starred in Dr. Giggles, but instead opted to do the Leprechaun part of the up to you whether or not that was the wise choice. And that's what gave me the idea. I was like, fuck it. Let me complete the almost Jennifer Aniston 90s horror verse and watch Leprechaun. So that's what we're doing next week. Special guests. I won't announce him just yet. I want to make sure he's all good. But be here. We're going to do some fucking Leprechaun shit. It'll be awesome. We're out of here. Peace.
Peace.